Namaskar. I'm Mrs. Manjusha Kelkar, founder of Breakthrough Higher Education. Today, in the series of interviews, we will be tracking the journey of a little girl who, from her school days, went on to the army and now is back to civil life. Let me introduce Major Dr. Ashlesha Kelkar Tavde. Hello, Doctor
Namaskar.
and Major. So, how are you?
I'm fine today. Thank you, madam.
Vande Mataram. Uh,
Vande
now,
Mataram.
when we introduce her, she will be called as Major Dr. Ashlesha. So, how it feels, Doctor, to be called as a major?
Uh, very fine question at the outset, madam. When you are called by your rank, when you're in your service, this rank, it just is attached to your name forever till you die. And it just doesn't give you pride, honor to yourself, but this sense of pride and honor comes to your entire family, your parents. When my parents introduce me as Major Dr. Ashlesha, they are extremely proud, and I think at every time when anybody addresses me that way, it brings me immense pride and honor.
Great. So, when I know her as a person who is a laid down person, not flashy. I have never seen her flash anything, either her rank or her education. As well, while being down to earth, she is also compassionate. Now, when we say compassionate, the characteristic many a times associated with the ladies, and then we say that she is a major in the Indian Army, then this is not a contradiction. It's a compliment because to be a major, she has done something. As well, if she is compassionate, that means it's a great compliment to us all out there. Now, she has donned many hats. She is a single child of her parents, a little girl, a sweet little child, maybe for her parents. After that, she married. She is a daughter-in-law. She is a doctor. She is a major. She is a mother. And now, let us see what she is now. So here we track your journey, Doctor, to the civil life, to army, and back to civil life.
Yes, madam.
So when we say this, she went to her school in Parle Tilak Vidyalaya. After that, to Sathe Junior College there itself. Then she did her MBBS. Till this time, she was in her civil life. But when I talked with her time back, a way back, then we were discussing that what it takes really to go to army, because there is a perception that you should be very good at sports, you should be outgoing, you should be running a lot, you should be an athlete, etc., etc., etc. So I asked her the same question. So let us hear from her what the answer is. Yes, Major.
Yes, madam. To be a part of army, as a child, as a student, I was not always in active sports and NCC. I did
Mhm.
my Maharashtra Cadet Corps in ninth
Mhm.
standard, but I was not a part of NCC, and I was not very much in active sports, although it is recommended always. So only basic. Uh, I was more into elocution and theater, etc., but never physically active and adventurous sports. So when I'm asked whether this is a required thing, with this is a prerequisite, I say
Mhm.
no, this is not the prerequisite. What is a
Mhm.
prerequisite, or what is expected of you, is to have a determination, a goal, and
Okay.
a persistent need or want to achieve that goal. So a persistent effort,
Mm-hmm.
disciplined effort, that is what is required. So when you have the persistence, when you have discipline in whatever stream that you are interested in, this is the quality that actually is required for armed forces.
Okay.
And it can be in any field. It is supposed to be in your academics, in any field that you take, even in your hobbies. If you want to take your hobbies seriously, you have to have a discipline, you have to have perseverance, patience, and all these qualities are what are actually required in army as well.
True, true, true. So you went to the school, then you thought about going to medicine, and as you rightly said, that was your goal, your passion. And I remember when we were talking, there was one incident in your life whereby we would like to hear it from you. What happened when a senior of yours came back in a Indian flag? So what happened?
While we were in school, higher standards, 8th, ninth, Kargil war happened during that time, and those years are really formative years. Things and experiences that we get during these years is are something that stay with us for rest of our lives. They actually shape us, the person that we become later in our lives. So
True,
Kargil war happened during that time, and all of us were consumed by it. uh, mm, uh, Especially us, because one of our school seniors, Captain Vinayak Gore, his mother was our teacher in Parletrak Vidyalay. We all know her, and she's still teaching in Parletrak Vidyalay, Anuradha Gore madam. She's also authored quite a few books related to army and soldiers. So she used to teach us, and one fine morning, the news of Captain Vinayak Gore's Gore passing away um, uh, at the war hit us, and that impacted all of us a lot. And somewhere that point, just my mind was taken into this, that this actually influenced my
so
mind a
that's a
lot, and it
incident
stayed it
engraved in
stayed
you. Yeah,
it
yeah.
stayed with me. And again, during our school days, we are nurtured the way we are, this experience, and then the values which are imbibed in us. So it is all together, it just goes on, and ultimately
True, 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 true,
making a decision to join the Indian Army.
true. So, as I know that in your family, your great grandfather was also there in World War II. So you used to hear quite a few stories. So maybe the series of incidents which usually happens in our lives, and it's somewhere there, back there in our subconscious. Maybe not that it is portrayed forward, or we are not very much vocal about it, that yes, I want to join army. If I don't join, then this will happen or that will happen. But maybe in our subconscious minds, it is somewhere there. So whenever and whatever, whenever we find a chance, it just comes out, it just pops up. And sometimes our near and dear ones also don't know that this is somewhere there inside us, and sometimes we also don't know. So popularly, one of my gurus, let us say Ketan Gan, he always used to say, have you got your ikigai? So that's a Japanese concept whereby what is your passion? That is what you love, what you are good at, and what the world needs. If you have found that out, then maybe it's the true calling for you. It's a true passion for you. That's what we can always say. So, what happened, Major, after that? You joined medical college after your 11th and 12th in Satya College. You joined your medical college. When you were doing your medical college, what was going on out there in your family life or in your personal
uh,
life?
During medical college, I after 12th, at At that time, we had MHCET, the entrance
Mhm.
exam, and we also had other national level entrance exams. There were some private entrance exams also. After 12th, it's a competitive world out there, and
Yeah,
especially if we have to pursue a career as competitive as medical career, you have to be really facing that cutthroat competition.
true.
So I was focusing a lot on MHCT, while there are other options as well, like All India CT. Like today's day, we have NEET, which covers all the
All
medical entrances. That time it wasn't so. There used to be different exams, and I
multiple
was
huge
focusing on, yes,
exams,
yes.
number of exams were there. I also
And I
remember
relate.
appearing for x number of exams way out in 1983. We were having close to many exams. There were all India PMTs, local level
Yes,
PMTs,
yes,
etc.,
yes,
etc. So the same situation was there when you were there. And which
yes.
was this year?
This was year 2002, when I
2002. Okay.
yes. So I'm 2002. I appeared for these exams and my MBBS also. So just finished my 12th standard, immediately appeared. So there was because nowadays what many students go for is take a break for a year and then go ahead, prepare for a year. But that was not my intention at all, because
Mm-hmm.
the time also is very precious during these years. So I wanted to give my best in the first attempt itself. So prepared for MHCT.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, my parents, because they knew that I'm keen on medical education, but at the same time, my personality and my co-curricular activities, etc., through that, they had sensed my liking towards a field such an adventurous field such as army. So they had
Mm-hmm.
also looked for an option of MH CET, which is Armed Forces Medical College CET, which used to be a separate CET. Now it is under NEET.
Mm.
So then it used to be a separate. So I appeared for the same for AFMC entrance exam as well. I could clear it, but at that time, my because I was not having any direct army background. I was a
Mhm.
complete civilian, coming from city like Mumbai, where we have hardly we see any army, or for that matter, even navy is concentrated only around Kolaba area. So we don't see a
Mhm.
lot of service personnel around here, and we are not exposed to that kind of lifestyle. So in and at 17 or 18 years of age, you have not seen much of outside life. So
True.
my parents actually gave me these put these options in front of me, that you
Mm.
and I secured rank in MHCT as well, through merit. So I was getting a free seat, which was my requirement. We couldn't have
Mhm.
afforded other way. So a free seat was a merit seat was my requirement. So I had secured that as well. So there were two options. For AFMC, you had to appear for a next round, which is interview round, a
Mm.
personal interview.
Mm.
And for MHCT, it was a clear cut admission through the rounds process, which is the same process even now. So
Mhm.
my father actually, we sat at home, parents and myself, we sat and we weighed the options. And he said, see, we are not an army family. So
Mhm.
whatever pros and cons we hear, they are not first hand. We only have some information from others outside sources. So in
Yeah.
case if you do not, this career, army career doesn't go along very well, doesn't suit you very well, you will have limited options. But if you go for MHCT, and through MHCT, a civil medical college, you will be gaining experience from civil medical college. And that time he introduced me that option of having an entry point after
Mhm.
MBBS if you still want to go for Army Medical Corps. So
True.
there, I decided to go for MBBS in a civil college, and that was in
Mhm.
Pravara Medical College in Loni.
Mhm.
It is, and thereafter, even in college, actually, we had so many professors who were ex AFMC professors, and through
Oh,
their stories, we learned a lot. And if you have it in your mind, every thing that is,
falls
related
in place.
will
Yeah.
take you towards your goal.
You are
So
a
even
magnet.
those
You attract
stories.
same type of things.
Yes, yes. So that is why it is very important to have that particular seed sown in your mind early on. And that way, your actions are subconsciously directed towards it.
Great. So you finished your MBBS there, and then you
Yes,
did your internship in science.
yes.
So
Uh,
what was happening out there in your mind? Because after internships, usually you people are preparing for your postgraduate entrance exams, and parallelly, being a girl child, somewhere at the back of the mind, marriage is also happening to the society. Maybe not to the family or to the child, but to the society, it is also happening parallelly. So how you manage the personal thing or the family things here, and what was in the
yes.
making?
So I was doing my internship in Sion Hospital in Mumbai, one of the busiest hospitals we know. So and immediately after MBBS, the first thing that comes to all medical graduates, all we medical graduates, our mind is what after MBBS? Immediately,
True.
either for post graduation in
Mm.
India or post graduation abroad.
Abroad.
Um, it is if at after 12th, if the competition is 100 times, uh, after MBBS, competition for MD is 100 times that 100.
Hmm.
So it
True.
is very difficult,
It's a
that
pyramid, and
world
you are
again.
sitting at the top
Yes.
of the pyramid then.
And still, when you reach the top after MD, it is even tougher when you want to
Yeah,
go
super
for super
speciality.
specialization. So
Yes.
it gets tough and tougher. And we all, without wasting even an hour after our results, we just simply get to our next goals.
Mm-hmm.
But some and what had happened was, like you said, the society starts looking at the wedding for a girl,
Hmm.
especially around that
Hmm.
age, around 25,
Hmm.
26.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
similar thing was happening with me as well. So my future partner in life, Mr. Aditya Kelkar, so he was already in picture, and Aditya was planning to go abroad to USA for his
Hmm.
further education. It
Hmm.
was kind of a given for a normal family. If the future spouse is planning to go for studying abroad, the girl will also join after whatever she's completed.
Yeah.
So that's
So
a
USMLE
very.
automatically.
Yes, so that was given. I was also
Hmm.
preparing for it because
Okay.
and that looked like a straight forward path.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Somehow my
Hmm. Hmm.
heart was not to it, and uh, I gave the exam as well. But somehow during that time, the notification for Army Medical Corps appeared in
Oh,
the
mhm.
newspaper,
Great.
and that somehow changed the course of events. And
Okay.
yes,
So,
madam.
if out
So
there someone is out there like you in the same position, doing internship, etc., still wants to join army, what they should be looking out for? They should be looking out for this notification coming out in newspapers to apply. What should be the process for them out there?
okay, so for Army Medical Corps, now I am no, I there are two different entities. Army
Mm-hmm.
Armed Forces Medical College is Armed
Mm-hmm.
Forces Medical College Pune,
Mm-hmm.
which there are 5 medical colleges under armed forces. So they are in 5 major cities in India. One of them
Mm-hmm.
is Armed Forces, AFMC Pune, where
Pune.
undergraduate medical education is provided. So that is the only one where undergraduate medical education is provided. But post after MBBS, if we want to join the
Mm-hmm.
Army Medical Corps. Army
Okay.
Medical Corps is a supporting service arm of the Indian Armed Forces. So all the three
Mm-hmm.
services, Army, Navy, Air Force, the
Mm-hmm.
doctors go from Army Medical Corps. And
Okay.
entering Army Medical Corps is what we can achieve after MBBS outside in civil. So
Okay.
it is like all the notifications of all entrance exams come in all national newspapers. Similarly,
Mm-hmm.
notification for applications for Army
Okay.
Medical Corps come to all the national newspapers like Times of India and others.
Mm-hmm.
So there are twice these applications are asked twice in a year typically.
Mm-hmm.
So around when the internships from medical colleges get over, so around end of the year they come, and in one of
Okay.
the one mid year. So depending upon
Mm-hmm.
the requirement in the
Mm-hmm.
armed forces, army medical corps, AMC, these
Hmm.
notifications come. So we should be looking for. So that time, some 10 years back, that was the major way to look for. But nowadays, Army Medical Corps also has a live website, and those who are interested, they should always keep visiting, regularly visit the website for new notifications, anything, new notices on these websites, and application forms are released on the website itself. So
Okay.
that is the process. All the requirements, all the prerequisites for application are very clearly mentioned um, in the application form. Some of the prerequisites or basic requirements are that you have to complete your MBBS,
Hmm.
and your official internship has to be complete by the
Complete.
given date, and
Mm-hmm.
you should have your regional, the Maharashtra medical. So I'm from Maharashtra, so
Hmm.
Maharashtra Medical Corps registration should be there.
Registration. Okay.
That is one. And there
Hmm.
are certain criteria such as your marks. So you should have first class in all subjects in all years. Needless to say that it has to be first attempt in every
Hmm.
year in
Hmm.
MBBS. And many a times I am asked whether I am a little short in height, or I am a little plump, so can I apply, or I have spectacles, or will I be eligible? Every criterion is given very clearly, stated very clearly when you visit this website of Army Medical Corps.
Okay. So you applied, correct? After you applied there, and then you were called for interview. Was there any step in between? You collected all your
So
documents and then you applied. And after the application, interview would happen. But before that, in this particular span of time, do you have to undergo any preparations or any extra things apart from the documentations?
um, official requirement, no. But when you want to increase your chances or improve your chances of getting ahead of the competition, because
Hmm.
these applications are typically for 200 to 300 doctors per year, and
Hmm.
application numbers which are received are in thousands close, and that number goes on increasing every year as
Yeah.
there is more and more awareness. So
Mm-hmm.
if you want to really improve your chances of getting in the services, That too, there is always a limited quota for lady officers.
Mm-hmm.
So there is approximately 10%, and not approximately, it's always consistent. 10% are lady officers who are accepted. So
Mm-hmm.
if there are around 3,000, 4,000 ladies um, uh, 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 applications, you have to be in the best 300, and of that there are only say 30 ladies. So all over
Yeah.
India, you have to be among those 30. And to improve that, you need to groom yourself a little bit if you come from a pure civil background, because there are
Yeah.
certain specific ways in army and in services in general, of code of conduct, the way you walk, the way you speak, the way you move your hands, or your facial expressions, choice of words, and entire body language. So what I did was, even after 12th standard, just as I had finished my AFMC entrance exam after 12th, I had taken guidance from Captain Vanzari sir, who's a very senior, we should say, guru, and
Hmm.
he has helped hundreds of students to crack NDA and other entrance exams of armed forces. And similarly, he has helped many uh, young minds to reach the services. So I approached sir. He has his institute, Captain Vanzari Academy in Chembur. I approached sir. He's very approach. He's close to 90, and
Oh.
he
Hmm.
almost runs a gurukul there. So
Hmm.
I
Hmm. Hmm.
approached him, and he guided me, kind of groomed me for in 7 days, only the essentials. So
Hmm.
um, which is required. So we didn't have much time between the application date and the interview date. So there was only 7 days that I spent with him, but that was morning till evening, eat, drink, sleep, everything. And late night, evening, I would come home with whatever training he gave me that time, 7 days. Some of the lectures that he took, that's not a lecture, it's one-to-one conversation.
Hmm. Hmm.
Some
Hmm.
of
Hmm. Hmm.
the key pointers that he gave, but that helped really for the
Yeah.
interview.
Hmm. Okay. So eat, drink, sleep the army way.
Yeah.
That's what maybe he let you experience when you were with him. So now you are called for an interview. So there must be a huge line or people waiting out there. And then what happens exactly when you open the interview room door?
Oh, that is one experience I cannot forget. That army interview. Previously, it used to be only in AFM, army in Delhi.
Hmm.
This interview. Nowadays, the interview is also decentralized. So all five colleges all over India, they conduct the interview. So you are a young, just fresh medical graduate, and when I enter the room has a huge oval table, and it has got white walls. There are no slogans, there are no pictures, kai tasbiri kai लावलेलं नाही है. It is all
घड्याळ पण
paint
नाहीये
white.
भिंतीवर.
No, nothing. So
Nothing.
your mind goes blank looking at those blank
Hmm.
walls.
Blank walls.
And well, the room is full of um, 17 to 18 senior officers, full of brass on both their shoulders, and full of a huge panel of medals donned on their chests, and not to mention, not to forget their
Must.
mustaches and their yes. So the room is full of senior officers, and they are all doctors and specialists from various fields.
Hmm.
There are gynecologists, there are surgeons, and there are medical specialists. There are
Hmm. Hmm.
psychiatrists, psychologists, and there are behavioral analyze your body language. So, and apart from that, community medicine specialists are there, and they all are there only to judge you, but not
And you
your
are the focus.
clinical.
Complete 30, 40 pair of eyes directed only towards you.
Yes. So not just your clinical acumen,
Mhm.
but your overall persona is really not judged but evaluated.
Evaluate.
Uh, yes. So you are asked questions related to medicine, but basic questions which a medical graduate would be able to answer.
Mhm.
The focus of the questions is a lot on community medicine, because in army it is never one doctor to one patient. The
Mm.
medical officer or the army doctor caters to an entire battalion at a time. So community medicine becomes very, very vital, and questions are a lot directed towards that. Then, being a lady, I am also asked how my experience, whether I am experienced in conducting deliveries actually, and how
Mm.
I would manage some of the obstetrics and gynecological yeah, emergencies and
Procedures.
problems.
Mm.
The questions are asked to you one after the other, and at the same time your ability to tackle that stressful situation, that is also checked and evaluated, whether I'm able to
Before you could
handle that
finish
situation.
answer, before you finish
Yes.
answer, next question. So you are on the front line of many bullets. So
Yes,
people are just firing
I
bullets.
have to face. I am in the line of fire of these 15 to
Yeah.
17 senior officers, and I have to
Mhm.
dodge either dodge or take the bullet. But
Yeah.
you have to somehow face. So that is how the interview is.
Mhm.
It's an experience not never to forget. And
Yes.
once you clear that,
Mm.
uh, it does not matter in that interview whether you unless you're grossly wrong. It does not matter whether you miss a little detail somewhere, or yeah, something like that. What matters more is that you're confident and
Mm.
you're able to handle that stress very well.
True.
So that is what is seen, and you overall give a positive person vibe, a positive and confident vibe. That is what is more important, and that is what is seen more than
Mm.
anything. So that is how the interview goes, and if you are selected through the interview, the next part of the evaluation is your physical evaluation or medical examination, which is done the
Mhm.
next day
Okay.
again. So that is also, if I mean, yeah, yes.
Yeah. So physical examination, people think. So I'm a little overweight, suppose. Then they give you a time to be into the limit and then join. They don't simply say that you are rejected. Is that so?
No, no, yes, yes, absolutely. There are many myths related to this physical examination and medical
Mhm.
fitness as well. So, firstly, later on, because I joined armed forces medical, so I know how the doctors, although they look really scary and stern, they are one of the kindest of the people who have seen worse uh, sides of life. So they're really kind with the fresh medical graduates, and
Okay. To
very
hear that.
considerate, very considerate.
Hmm.
Small things we do not bother, but
Hmm.
yes, things like basic fitness you have to have. For that also, you can prepare just between your application and your interview time. But
Hmm.
if I'm a little overweight, you're given certain period. There are
Hmm.
certain conditions which are correctable, and some of them are not. See,
No.
for example, flat foot, or things like if you are really short statured, then
Hmm.
below 4.9, or it
Hmm.
is a given criteria.
Hmm.
So in that case you cannot do anything. But for example, if you're slightly overweight, your BMI falls a little above 24 or the
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
24.5 something. So you are given 3 to 6 weeks, and you're given a written instruction. After 3 to 6 weeks you visit this particular center again with and then you're again evaluated. You're given
Evaluated.
that time, and if you can manage, if you are able to do this, then you're considered again.
Ah, great.
So
So after doing all this, what happens? How are you called for, or how are you informed that you have been selected? What is the procedure
that
like?
Yes. So after this, after medical examination, we were told to go home, because we knew that we had cleared interview and medical examination. Of course, you're privy to your own results as well. There is sonography
Mhm.
as well as some blood investigations for basic, if diabetes and all these things need to be ruled out, any heart disease, things like that. So
Mhm.
we are told to go home. You have been selected. So once there is a selected list of people, but you have to come in the merit, and whatever number is for that year, whatever is the number, 300 generally or 200. If you are in the merit list, then uh, in due course of time, you receive a letter from Government of India, and when you open it, it says that the uh, President of India is privileged to commission you. Um, uh, so that is the kind of letter, and it is signed by the none other than the president. So you actually receive a letter like that at home. It is a moment of pride for
Mhm.
each family, and to see and receive such a letter. There
Yes.
you have your moment. Yes.
Yes. So
So in
the
the
same
letter,
time you are crying as well as you have goosebumps, and as well as everyone is happy. So I think a mixture of too many emotions at that particular point of time.
yes. So in the letter, you are actually informed regarding the first posting, the
Mhm.
station where you're supposed to report, the time,
Mhm.
date, everything, and the
Mhm.
person. Generally, the for doctors, it is the registrar of the hospital you're supposed to
Mhm.
report to. And with
Mhm.
that letter alone, the letter is everything that you will require to take to the station, and you report on the given day, and thereafter your new life begins.
Yeah. So by this time when this was happening, were you married? Were you engaged? What was the status?
Yes, so when this happened, uh, army career is never a single person's decision, not for a girl, not for a boy as well. So your entire family has to be on board with you, with your decision. They have to be supportive. I consider myself fortunate always, because not just my parents, but also my then future in-laws. I was not married that time. It was only an
Okay.
engagement that
Mhm.
had happened. So although my would-be spouse Aditya, it was not here that time. He was already in US, and although I had changed my plans of going to US for studying, I had decided to go to armed forces for further career. Uh, he was very supportive, and not just him, his parents, the entire set of family, my parents as well as his parents, were extremely supportive for the decision.
Mhm.
That is extremely important when it comes to deciding for yeah, for a career like this, because uh,
There is
for and
uncertainty, but plus, yes, there
especially
is
for a girl,
uncertainty. Yeah, yeah, true, 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 true.
and it's a male dominated field, army. and I will be placed in field posting, away from family, away from everybody for some time. So there are these perceptions, and there are these worries in minds of all parents,
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes,
and
yes.
that is why it has to be a collective or a unanimous decision, not by one person but the entire family. So I always say that when a boy or a girl joins Indian Army or armed
Of
forces,
course.
it's
Mm.
not the one person who is joining, it's the
Mm.
entire family which becomes a part of armed forces larger family.
True, very
So
true. And
I
it's a close-knit family which
yes,
supports each other. A huge, a close-knit family. That's what I have seen or I have observed. Okay,
yes,
so
yes.
you were stationed at Pune, you joined there, and after that your training started. Because now that this is a transition phase, maybe from a civilian life to a army life, like the complete lifestyle change has to happen, maybe the mindset, the skill set, maybe you have to work on that. So for how much time you are inducted, or how much time training takes?
My commissioning happened in as I mentioned in Southern Command, Pune. So
Hmm.
the hospital was in Pune. My first station was in Pune. So the moment you are commissioned, you are given ranks on your shoulder, and along with ranks, you have responsibility. So there are certain army ways that we as civilians do not know and are not
Mm-hmm.
required to know. But once I am a part of army family, as I said, I need to. So
Hmm.
salutations, ranks, seniorities, then code of conduct, behavior in the messes, our officers' messes, and of course responsibilities of upcoming field postings. And certain education is required for civilian doctors related to combat medicine, which is
Okay.
not really stressed upon in civil hospital, as in civilian hospitals.
Mhm.
So army medical related training is required.
Hmm.
That involves a lot of emergency care, trauma, and things like gunshot wound. So how many times a doctor, a fresh medical graduate encounters a gunshot wound in a general hospital? Very few times, maybe
Hmm.
never. But
Maybe
it's
never.
a
Yeah.
very common situation when we are at field. The mine, landmines, भुईसुरुंग ज्याला म्हणतात. So
Hmm. Hmm.
landmines are common injuries in soldiers at the field. So these are never seen in civil life, which we have to be. Then high altitude mountain sicknesses.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Many a
Low
times
oxygen. Yeah. Hmm.
yes, so all these are not seen very commonly, but we have to be, so the civilian doctors have to be sensitized and have to be trained to be treating these injuries. And India is such a diverse country. We have diverse geographical, I mean, geography
Atmospheric
everywhere we
conditions.
go,
Yeah.
from north to
We have
south to
minus
east,
to
west.
plus 40. Yeah.
Yes. So
Everything is
desert medicine is
there. Hmm.
taught, then high altitude medicine is taught, combat medicine, as in traumas, of course, is taught.
Mhm.
But um, not just that, when I am in army, I am first a soldier, and a
Hmm.
soldier must know defense. It,
Hmm.
so if I am not a soldier, and if I am not knowing my basic defenses, I am not fit to be in the line of fire or
Hmm.
at the LOC. So,
Hmm.
a military training of weapons and physical fitness, that is given to the doctors. So, all the doctors, even from AFMC, from AFMC as well as non AFMC, the civil doctors, all of us, we receive this training in Lucknow, the Army Medical College in Lucknow. So
Mm-hmm.
there we have combat medicine as well as military writing, history,
Mm-hmm.
and all these topics. So war history, etc. We have to really study all these things. So it's a again intense training. So 6 weeks to 8 weeks, it
Okay.
depends on how much time you have, depending upon your requirement as well. So from Pune, so I was commissioned in February in 2014, and
Hmm.
my training finished sometime in September. I cannot forget all these dates, but I would not share them. They are not required. But all these dates
No,
are
no, but
very
they
dear
are
to an
very
officer.
important. No, but very
Yes, they
important.
are.
See, Feb to
Yes,
September, you have to understand that this is
yes.
your training period. This is the
So
minimum
this was
training
the
period. Hmm.
yes. So in between, in that training period, 6 weeks would be. So previous training was in Pune, then 6 weeks was in Lucknow. There we
Lucknow.
are taught how to do your parade, how to
Hmm.
give commands, and basically, and then how to uh, deal with the Jawans, and all these sensitive things, and aspects of medicine, such as mental health, are
Hmm.
really talked about, because our Jawans are fit. They are our soldiers, so they are already fit. To keep a fit person in his fitness is a task, and that too not just physical fitness but mental fitness as well.
Mental.
So this
That's very
aspect
important.
is also
They are
taught,
away from their
and along,
families. Sometimes they become
yes,
emotional. Sometimes they are homesick. Everything happens with because they are humans after all. Means
they are
you just cannot
humans, they
say
are
that, hey, yeah.
after all. So
So this all
civilian
things come.
doctor is
Hmm.
basically polished
Hmm.
and made into an army officer in this
Hmm.
training.
Okay.
So
Great, 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 great. So after all this, your first posting happened. So where were you posted?
then my first field posting was in Nowshera sector, Nowshera
Mhm.
sector of Jammu Kashmir. So this is one of the counter-insurgency and counter-terrorism areas. We have seen this in this recent movie which had come, um,
Uri,
uh, Uri,
Uri.
Uri.
Yeah.
So these surgical strikes, where we actually conducted the surgical strikes, that was the location. I share. Previously, when I used to talk about it, people did not know the power of
Mm.
our movies, that people know about these places and these
Yeah.
locations. Um, that these are the locations along LOC, and I was posted in the field hospital in Nowshera.
In Nashera. Okay, so how is the life like? Means perception as a layman. Suppose I try to understand. You are posted at a field hospital. Does that mean that you are on the firing line or a firing range? Or you said just now that you are first a soldier, then a doctor. Means your first thing is to either protect yourself. Defense is your first and prime most importance, because if you are there, then you are supposed to cater your jawans. Otherwise, how it is to be done? It's not that they are supposed to protect you. It's you that you have to protect yourself, and as well you should be able to fire whenever required, because ultimately it's your defense. You have to be there, live and kicking, to serve them or to cater to them. So how it happens, how it goes, suppose there is any operation or anything like that, how it happens out there?
So
Whatever
typically,
and how much you can share, please do share.
sure, yes, definitely. So typically, the first posting that we get is a field posting. In India, I mean, in our services, in army, we have field areas which are in north and northeast. Along with that, we have some western border. So
Mhm,
around Rajasthan and Gujarat, there also we have
mhm,
field areas. And
mhm,
Andaman is also field modified field area. So typically, we get our posting north, that is Jammu Kashmir,
mhm,
or northeast, northeast in Chinese border.
Yeah, it's in the
And I
news
was
now. It's very much in
nowadays
the
it is.
news now
Yes,
nowadays.
yes, yes.
Previously, no one used to
So
know what like the Chinese border is. Yes, please continue.
yes, so the actions are activity is always on in both the borders. We are fighting a war everyday basis when we are at the borders. The soldiers, we are there every day at war.
Hmm.
There is not a single day where there is nothing and everybody is at peace. So just that it's the matter of media coverage. Sometimes
Hmm.
the media is more interested in probably Chinese border, sometimes it is in the Pakistan border. So it but um, come what may,
It's a daily
things
happening.
are
Hmm.
things are happening every day in both the border
Both.
areas. So uh, typically we are given one of the field postings. Now doctors, when I'm posted at field hospital is a pool of doctors which caters to the battalions which are manning the area,
Hmm.
the LOC. And I can share a little experience here. When I first went there and I saw there was a fence and there were
Hmm.
lights on the fence. It looked really beautiful, and I asked one of my buddies,
Hmm.
this looks really beautiful, these lights. क्या है, क्या कोई त्योहार है, कुछ है यहाँ पर, रीजनल त्योहार है, क्या है? Said,
Hmm.
no madam, this is actually our LOC, the LOC. So I said, is that the LOC that
Hmm.
that's
We
what
keep on
we
hearing about,
all have
yeah.
heard?
Hmm.
Said, yes, this is, so LOC is nothing but just एक तारांचा सा कुंपण है साधं, and on which there are some lights which are put. LOC gets its glory only because of our soldiers holding that land. They are
Hmm.
there day in day out and standing, and that is
Hmm.
why uh, it is there, and we have this land. So that moment I realized that I'm standing at such a place where after this there is no my country. it is
Hmm.
uh, it is the end of our land there. So
Hmm.
that was very difficult. But yes, so we cater to various battalions, and that is how we actually go to various battalions, stay there, be with the boys there, and really work closely with Jawans.
Hmm.
Doctors, especially from army, get a very good chance to see the army life and live the army life up close.
Hmm.
Many a times in Navy, lady officers are not sent on board ships.
Hmm.
They have
Hmm.
to be ashore and do the shore duty, see the cadets, see the sailors on shore, and they hardly get a chance to go on board ship.
Hmm. Hmm.
On the contrary, in army, we have our lady officers who actually can participate and do participate in actual operations. And
Hmm.
that is why I had also chosen army as the stream,
Out of the
over
three,
navy,
you can choose. Yeah.
or
Out.
air force. So
Hmm.
that was, so you actually be with the Jawans, you see and handle their problems on a daily basis. You and our various battalions, you can be with, you are with Jat Paltan at one time, then you are with Sikh Paltan, Maratha Paltan, um, uh, Jack Light, and there are many, and they have their distinct identities. You
Hmm.
live in the Paltan, you live their life, you
They
be
have.
one
I
there,
have heard that
be
they have
one.
different war cries also. So
Yes,
everyone has
yes,
got a
they have different.
war
And
cries.
as a
Yes.
doctor, they really look up to you. They
Hmm.
look up to you to hear them out.
Hmm.
And as a lady officer, they look at you as their mother at times, and you have to be,
Hmm.
you're a young officer, but
Hmm.
you have to be in that position and give a patient and compassionate, the way you said right in the beginning, very correctly and very right at the point, that you have to have that compassion and in the uniform. And that is the role of a lady doctor in armed forces. Special role, actually,
Hmm.
that you,
Yeah.
as lady, you have compassion, but in a uniform, that compassion becomes your strength.
Hmm.
So
That's a
yes.
coveted thing which you have, a special identity, maybe. Okay, so how was it going on? Again, I'll come back. This is your professional life, and another aspect is your personal life. What was happening out there?
Yes. So
You
as I went
participated
for
in
my,
one insurgency operation, I think so.
yes, yes.
So
So
what
yes,
happened?
I had. Oh, okay. So it was simultaneously. So again, it is very important for girls in our culture uh, to um, uh, to achieve all these milestones in timely fashion. And I think there is nothing wrong in it.
True.
It is time tested, and modern science also agrees to it, that there is this particular period when you should yeah, get married, bear children, and it is good for the it is good biologically as well. And
You have a
yeah,
biological clock set, so please honor that clock.
yes. Yes, so it is
Yeah.
nothing wrong,
Hmm.
and it must be actually followed. And
Hmm.
so simultaneously, our wedding, etc., was also on the. So Aditya was in Boston, and we always well, on lighter note, he was at Boston and I was at the borders. So so we had so we had a really nice, actually nice
Long distance
experience. We
relationship.
very long
Too long
distance, because
distance.
the places that I was posted in, internet is a very, very rare luxury.
Hmm,
The
hmm, hmm.
places that we stay, sometimes getting a mirror to look into was also a big deal. So
Hmm.
internet was a really long
Yeah,
shot.
yeah.
So we
Mhm.
hardly, many a times I hardly spoke with my parents at home and Aditya, but we had decided, and in between my postings, we had our marriage planned.
Hmm.
It happened so that I got a leave. So your family life is very well honored when you are in service. Uh, Stark difference I have seen in corporates outside, where your family time or your family life is not given so much. Probably, maybe nowadays there is always these HR
Hmm, hmm,
policies
hmm,
are there,
hmm,
but otherwise it's not given so much of importance. But I have seen in services, your family and family life is honored the highest.
hmm,
So when I broke the news in my unit that this is my marriage date, I got
hmm,
leave for
hmm,
10 days
hmm,
prior, which is a big deal. So I was supposed to leave for my wedding preparation 10 days prior. I was supposed to be at home, Mumbai.
hmm,
And I was
hmm,
at a place called Surancoat. It is uh, it is one of the highest and last peaks of our uh, Jammu Kashmir's peak. After
hmm,
that,
hmm, hmm.
there is
LOCN, yeah. Hmm,
Pakistan.
hmm, hmm, hmm,
So and there was this operation which was launched right then, just 3 4 days before I could. Um, when when an officer is offered to be a part of an operation, an army operation, it is the highest honor or highest level of so one officer never really would want to refuse, and
hmm, hmm,
so was I tempted. My commanding officer actually asked me, you are proceeding for your leave after 3 4 days, and this operation. So operations, you know the start point, but you don't know when they would
and
end. uh, it can be a long standing operation, and it can be harmful. You never know,
yes.
you can't predict the outcome
Hmm,
um,
hmm,
in terms of lives. So but then I didn't want to lose that opportunity, so I became a part of I took part in that operation. It was very it was an experience to cherish the entire life of mine. But it used to be a very stark difference when my mother-in-law would call me in the evenings, and I would be and we would be discussing our wedding preparations, and at the same time I would be instructing my nursing assistants to take stock of my medicines in the ambulance, and the weapons and weaponaries, AK-47 and ammunition, all these things. So they were going hand in hand. While at home front, my mother and my mother-in-law both were busy preparing for my our wedding, saris and uh, I don't know, ornaments, bangles, and all these things. And there I
And
was
you were cleaning
preparing for my
everybody's
weapons and my medicines and all those. So, but it was some time to remember, because that operation was a very it was a success. Later on, it gave it culminated into medals as well, big gallantry medal to officers involved, and and later on, when I came back home for wedding, the commanding officer from the unit actually sent one of the boys for my wedding with a souvenir, or a wedding gift, which is one of the best gifts I received for my wedding. Which I mean, from Surankot, this boy traveled all the way to Mumbai for the wedding. So yes, so that was a
So
very
you were thrown a bachelorette party by all the bachelors out there.
yes. So all officers were married, and I was the only lady officer at the unit,
Going to get
and
married.
I was only unmarried. So since the operation ended, and we actually had a good time, good reason to celebrate as well, and they decided to throw me a bachelorette party where I was the only girl, only unmarried girl, and we had a good time, I remember. And I must say that we must I mean, if we have to party, we should party like army men. We always say that. So
True, true,
so
true,
yes,
true. Very
it
true,
was
very
it
true.
was very memorable for me.
Everything,
Yes,
see, everything is dil khol ke.
yes,
Because you fight hard, you party hard.
yes. We
And that too
luckily had
after a
no
successful
casualty.
operation. Yeah, that too after
Yes,
a
we
successful
did not have
operation.
any casualty. And we had a success where we were supposed to, actually we had received whatever intelligence information we had
Mhm.
received, we could track on it and we could capture, and it was a success. So
Yeah.
we had reason to
So, yeah. So
celebrate.
after
Yes.
your marriage, you took your spouse to your unit?
Yes, we actually had our honeymoon at the LOC. So, yes, we hardly had any time because I had taken leave so that I could prepare a little bit. All those beauty
Mhm.
preparations are required a little bit,
Mhm.
because just prior to that,
You have
we
to
were
be
in.
in photos, so your face
Yes,
should be photogenic. So
so
you have to prepare, maybe.
yes, so it is. So we had both of us. We had very little time, and I wanted Aditya to come to the place where I was posted. It was very important for me that my husband knows and sees where and how we are working, how we are living, because both of us were from civil background. So we actually had our honeymoon there at our unit, and it was it is a very big thing when a spouse visits the unit. There is something called as dining in for the spouse, and our unit threw a very big party for Aditya, and we also had some pranks and all those
Mm.
small post wedding rituals we had at our unit at the LOC.
Because it
So
couldn't happen
all
here, so you
those
celebrated there.
couldn't happen. Yes. So
सो म्हणजे ते
because
कंकण सोडायचं आणि ह्याच्यामध्ये
yes,
परातीमध्ये हे
agdi,
शोधायचं
agdi,
वगैरे ऑल यू
agdi.
डिड ॲट एल-ओ-सी.
Yes,
ग्रेट.
at LOC. So because it was my second family, and that was my second home then. And I wanted Aditya to be a part, and we really had some good time then. And Aditya could also feel get the sense of how it is at LOC, because unless you actually be there, you really cannot understand the kind of limitations that you have at times, the pressure and this. Since he has always been very understanding, um, he was always supportive. Many with so many days of no contact, so many times it used to be very difficult to be in touch and all those things. So it was very important for both of us uh, to go there and be there together for whatever moment. So that was one time that I really am thankful that I could manage. And
Yeah, sure,
yes.
sure, sure. So, when did your promotion happen next? You were promoted to the rank of major, right?
Major, yes. So major. So after 3 years of captain, and your
Mm-hmm.
field posting almost is over, you
Mm-hmm.
are promoted to major, and then next posting generally happens after 3 years to 3.5 years, and which is in a peace area. Many a times it is closer to your hometown. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, it was in INS Hamla, which is the logistics base of Indian Navy, that is in Mumbai, Mandve. So
So you were.
there I was promoted to the rank of major. Yes.
So after that, you were on a short service commission. So you returned back to civil life after gaining all these experiences at INS Amla also, whereby
Right.
I'm sure you must have gained a lot there also. So you came
Yes.
back to your civil life, and after that you joined. I think you joined your PG in Mumbai,
Yes.
and you
Yes.
started doing your MD in community medicine. So, how was the transition again? Because now you are back to civil life, but then again, you are inheriting a army background now, because again there is a transition, a reverse transition maybe. Now you again have to be comfortable with all the civilians, and maybe the chaos out there, the non-disciplinary approach out there. So again you came back, so it must have been difficult. So I say that hats off to you. You again were adjusting to the civil life, and you were also studying. You also had your kid, and then you started working also in the same hospital as assistant professor. And we will now understand what was your experience during this COVID times.
So after army, yes, it was a difficult transition, because army actually, during army training, the blocks of your personality are taken. They are kind of separated, and you are rebuilt with the same
Mhm.
blocks are built again, and
Mhm.
in a disciplined fashion, in a more organized manner, we can say. So you are the same person, but you're now more disciplined, more organized, and you have imbibed certain values and ethics. So after that, when I came back, because Aditya also decided to come back from US. So we both decided that we now have some family time, which is
Mhm.
again very important for a girl, having a child, and family, spending time with family, being together. So there it started. And post graduation in community medicine was also a conscious decision, because in army what we practice is community medicine, and that way I could have utilized my army background, army experience, the maximum
Mm.
for civil. life or
Hmm.
in civil uh, organization. So
True.
yes, it was a difficult transition because I joined army when I was a medical graduate, fresh medical graduate. So I never worked in a corporate hospital. I never
Hmm.
worked
Hmm.
in a municipal general hospital after my internship. And
Hmm. Hmm.
army, it functions in a certain fashion. When you order, it is done, it is considered done. And there is a very meticulous way of doing. There are standard operating procedures which are never flouted. So
Hmm.
yes, there were difficulties, but of course we are also trained to tackle the difficulties. So yes,
That's
so
the true
we
army mindset.
yes, so and ultimately, I mean, it's only matter of time when you adjust with all the changes. And there was a lot of work that I saw that required
Hmm.
where now I work with some of the rural villages ahead of Panvel. They are not very far from a city like Panvel, but they are really underprivileged in terms of health care
Hmm.
facilities and other development. So I actually saw that, and luckily I could work for that. And I was working for rural health
What
and
we
training.
call as आदिवासी पाडा म्हणजे तिथं जाऊन
Yes,
काम द्यायला लागतं
Adivasi
का
Pade.
तुम्हाला? So तुम्ही
Yes,
अडॅप्ट
yes.
केलेले आहेत का पाडे? काही पाडे
So
हॉस्पिटलची?
गव्हर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडियाचा एक फ्लॅगशिप प्रोग्राम आहे उन्नत भारत अभियान. सो इफ वी सी गो ऑनलाईन अँड इफ वी चेक उन्नत भारत अभियान, आपल्याला त्याच्यावर वी विल सी सर्टन themes under Unnat Bharat Abhiyan. And in under this, higher education institutes can adopt areas, catchment areas around their location, and they can cater to not just health but also overall development. It could be infrastructure, women empowerment, or youth development, employment generation, all these aspects, because all the aspects, they go hand in hand: hygiene, sanitation. So I could work in that area, and I was working for this when the pandemic actually struck us,
ओके.
being in community medicine and public health.
हं.
I had to be a part of the task force, which, or I mean, the uh, people working basically during the pandemic. I was working with our hospital became actually the designated COVID center for Raigad district, and
हं.
we had huge patient load. Close to, till now it has become now close to 5,000 patients we have catered to.
ओह
And
माय. हं.
yes, and that time during pandemic, it was a very difficult time for all of us, but rural area more, because the essential services also suffer a lot.
हं.
When there is a lady who is pregnant during COVID, from her Adivasi Pada to the hospital, which is approximately 1.5 hours to 2 hours, 2 hours of time, there
जर्नी.
is
Yeah.
no facility for her to be delivered, and no private doctors or clinics or nursing homes would take her. We had to stand and we had to rise for these. The essential healthcare was
हं. हं.
extremely critical to be delivered during COVID times. We also then, of course, I was working with all these numbers. Those come out every day basis. How many cured, how many diseased, and at the same time creating awareness and supporting the healthcare workers in the community. Asha workers are there, Anganwadi
हं.
workers are there in the rural area. So these
हं.
were the pillars of health. They were reaching the community, and to give them support was our duty as public health specialists and community health specialists. So constant support to them. And of course, in the hospital, we were working for IPD, in patients for the
हं.
hospital. So all this was happening. At the same time, we were addressing queries and difficulties of relatives of patients of COVID-19, because this was a very tough and very unique situation
Unique.
where
Yeah.
when the patient was admitted, the relatives could not, care for the patient. It was the
Hmm.
medical staff or the healthcare staff on whom the patient depended. So we had to become the family member of this patient to treat, and at the same time we had to be an interface between the patient and the relative. So that was another crucial role. So when
Hmm.
I in last 1 year I saw another war, and
Hmm.
I'm proud that I could be a part of this as well.
True. One war was is being fought at the border, and this is another war, and which is unprecedented. Means you just cannot say that previously it so happened, so it will be like this. This is unprecedented. You have to think out of the box. You have to think on your own, because no one is coming on. No one of your seniors is coming and going to tell you that, okay, past time it happens so and so, now you do this. You just cannot do that. So yes, you have to rise as in army here also. So I think the virtue must have paid. Whatever you learned there, you must have implemented beautifully
Yes.
here. I'm sure about that. And as a result of which, I understand that you have been promoted as a deputy hospital director of MGM Trust. So congratulations on this new role. So I think the Belapur new hospital you'll be taking over very shortly. So, or maybe you must have taken over already. So I'm very happy for that. And now this is a journey, a track whereby you started from where we have seen, and you ended up where, that also quite easy. So let me ask you one question: where do you see yourself 10 years down the line?
10 years down the line, I would like to tell you that although I always wanted to work for the community, I never knew how I would work for the community. I would always dream of utilizing or putting my skills and abilities to use for as many people as I can.
Hmm.
And only through that dream, I actually joined services. I came out and I started working for rural population. And even today, while I am in administrative role, the only goal that I have is that I make myself useful for the community. And I think after 10 years as well, uh, I mean, I will consider myself successful, and I will consider myself content and happy if whatever my ability, whatever my knowledge, skill is, and I always hope to grow it and enhance it, because learning never stops. So I still want to go ahead and improve upon my learning, take something new. But whatever I do, I should be able to put myself to the best use of community, our people. I think that
True.
is where I would be working even after 10 years. Yes.
10 years is a very short span of time. I think there is no word like retirement in army. As you said, that you will retain the title till you die, so you will be once a major, always a major, at least for me. So this passion and this compassion is never going to die. So i uh, I think it's overwhelming for all of us to listen to your journey. All the very thanks and to your parents, your family, on both the sides. Your this side parents and that side parents. That's what I call, because if you are satisfied in your family, if you are happy at your family life, your professional life grows. If you are unsatisfied at your family life, then it is very difficult, because you have to overcome all the stress and then perform in your professional life.
Yes.
So all of us out there are maybe lucky that we do have a comparatively stress-free family life, so that we all can perform at our professional lives. And a huge
Yes,
contribution from the parents end, because and our mothers especially, who must have sometimes gone against the societal norms to help us out there, being girls at a younger age, and
yes,
then being
yes,
daughters-in-law at the later time, and
yes.
everything out there. So
I
it's
am
very, very
really
important.
fortunate. I think I have had a very strong mother and
Hmm,
a mother-in-law who have
it's true.
always stood by me. Otherwise, after pregnancy, after children, it becomes very difficult for a
Very.
woman to continue in a career as demanding as this.
Yes, yes, yes. So, on that note, I think we will conclude this. It was pleasure having you, Major Dr. Ashlesha, and I think we all need you out there. So, continue to be a pillar of strength for our community, and may God be behind you, so that you keep on serving and you keep on pursuing your passion forever. Thank you, Oscar.
Thank you, madam, for your kind
Thank you.
words and thank you for the opportunity. Dhanyavad.
My
Dhanyavad. Jai
pleasure.
Hind.
Thank you. Jai Hind.